What's going on, guys? Welcome to Thinking Outside the Pylons, episode 12. It's a Tom Brady podcast. It's a GOAT podcast. But today, I've been out for a little bit. Been about, I think, 2 weeks since my last podcast, and I've kind of taken this time to work a little bit on the pod, updating the cover art. My girlfriend Rachel really helped with a lot of things, and I took some time to go on a mini vacation, and I also took the last 2 weeks to kind of sit down, observe, and listen. And what I mean by that is that there's a few things I want to talk about. Obviously, sports being the main thing, what's going on in the NFL, with some players being released and traded, some players unfortunately being hurt. The MLB just had their trade deadline, and of course the NBA full force into the playoffs, which has been crazy playoffs that I'm really excited to speak about. But what I wanted to start with, and the biggest conversation that anyone has right now, especially the past 2 weeks, has been the social injustice and the pain that this nation has felt, and really all the world has felt. And I'll get into that part later, but what I really want to talk about is kind of my life, my experiences, talk about how I can compare that in a very small way to other people. And also at the end of it, I want to talk about everything I've seen in sports, everything I've seen in sports media, what people are saying, what people are talking about, and the fans' reactions. That's a main thing that I think is really important and, to me, very unfortunate. So I'll explain that as well. Please stay around. Please listen, because I'm going to talk about myself, something I don't really talk about very often, and I'm going to focus on something that I'm really passionate and I really believe, and I don't want to offend the people that I care about in this, and you'll understand who that is as I'm talking. And I really want my opinion and what I feel to really be heard. So with all that being said, I'm going to jump right in and talk about a little bit about me. So I'm 24 years old. I was born in North Florida, on a small island, Fernandina Beach. It's the last exit before you get to Georgia. So it's true Bible Belt. It is very red in American wording. And there's a lot of things you see there that a lot of people don't realize if you live in other parts of the country and other parts of the world. I moved around a lot, though. I actually moved to Canada when I was 12 years old, and I lived in Canada for about 10 years. So all in all, with moving and everything, which was a lot, if you looked at my life, everyone just kind of looked at me as a normal guy. I mean, I was just a normal white kid. I went to school. I played sports. I loved sports, and people knew me. But what a lot of people didn't know was that, especially when I moved to Canada, people didn't know I was American or an immigrant until I said it. People didn't know that I wasn't even from the same country as them until I said something. And they wouldn't believe me at first. A lot of people were like, really? You're from there? Really? Why are you here? And I got that question. That was always a question that came after I said I was from Florida. Why are you here? And it was because I lived in Edmonton. It was cold. It was very different from Florida. And that was just always made me think. And it always left an impression on me. Because if I never told anyone that I was an immigrant, if I never told anyone that I was American, no one would second guess it. Because in their eyes, I was just another white guy. In their eyes, I was just another kid that grew up the same way they did and experienced the same things that they did. But I wasn't. I was an immigrant. I was someone that grew up in a country I wasn't born in and had a lot of challenges, had a lot of obstacles, and had a lot of hoops I had to jump through. And to be honest, I was scared. I lived in Canada, and I lived in fear for a very long time. And it was the time where I was afraid to see police. I was afraid to not pay bills. I was afraid to go outside. I was scared to travel. I was scared to drive a car even though I had a driver's license. But my driver's license was an American driver's license. So all these things that I just had fear. And it was a fear of the people that were supposed to protect me. It was a fear of the police officer. If I was hurt, they would save me. But I was scared if if I was helped by a police officer, what would happen to me? What if I got deported? What if something happened? I'm not saying it would, but I lived in a fear. I was scared if I was in a car, would I be in an accident? I was scared if I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, what would happen to me? This is something I lived with for a very long time. And this is a fear that I had that I know no one knew. Because I was just another white kid. I looked just like you. You would never second guess it. You would never think about it. You would never imagine that this kid that's just growing up in a normal life, in a normal neighborhood, going to school and everything, no one would ever think that I wasn't like them. And that something would happen to me if something happened to the police. That being said, I mean, growing up, I did do a lot of stupid stuff. Nothing crazy. Went to parties, stayed out late, drove around, stuff like that. Nothing bad. And a lot of people look at it as he's just growing into himself. He's learning himself. He's growing. He's becoming a human being. He's becoming an adult. He's just doing the things that he wants to do. And I think about that all because I look like another person and the cops don't look twice at me. I was able to live that way. But I know from where I was born, from where I was grown, from the things that I've seen, if a black person did the things that I did where I did them, it'd be a completely different story. If a black kid is out late by himself or with a couple of friends going to McDonald's at 4 a.m., people would look at him. People would wondering, what is he doing? Is he a menace to society? Is he a bad kid? Is he doing this? Is he part of a gang? I'm scared. I don't know. And that's only because he's black. And he can be from Canada. He can be born and raised Canadian. He can be from America, born and raised in America. But no one looked at the white kid in the corner that was an immigrant, that was scared for his life everywhere he went. But they would turn their eyes and stare at the black kid. And there were instances where this happened. I had friends that this happened to. I lived in neighborhoods that this happened. And that's the issue that is going on and people don't realize is that, like, why is there so much hate towards this group of people that were just born? They didn't choose their skin color. They didn't choose where they were born. They didn't choose their life. And they're born with a target on their back and they have to fear the people that are supposed to protect them. I had that for a few years, and it was such a weight on myself. I would cry at night, many nights, scared for my life. But you would never look at me and think anything else. Some people have to live their entire life scared and in fear because everywhere they go, they're looked at. If they talk different from someone, they're looked at. If they dress different, they're looked at. And it hurts me. And I don't know if I had the right to say that. I don't want to sound arrogant. I don't want to sound ignorant. I don't want to sound anything to offend someone. But what I lived through, what I did, was the closest I've ever had the feeling to what a black person felt in America. And I got out of Canada because I couldn't live that way anymore. Other reasons, of course, I really wanted to live in Florida. There was a lot of things I wanted to do here. There was a lot of things I wanted to experience, but the weight of immigration was really hard on me, and I didn't know if I wanted to do it. And I can't imagine not being able to get out of that situation, because a lot of people are not able to get out of that situation. So that puts me into what my experience is and how I truly feel. And if you agree with me, agree with me. If you don't agree with me, I understand. I'm not looking to have an argument, but I would love to have a conversation. If you want to talk to me, if you want to listen to me, if you want to hear what I say and you want to respond back and we can talk together, I would love to hear it. Educate me. Why do you feel that way? Why is that? But I spent some time talking about me and my experiences and what I think, and I'm going to get into the sports now, the sports aspect, the very important part of my podcast and my life, and why I think it's important, very important, that sports play a part in the social injustice and the movement that needs to happen for the world to become normal. And the biggest thing is that I read a lot of articles. I've listened to a lot of media. I see what people tweet, what players say, how they believe. I watched when Milwaukee didn't come out of their locker room, and the 2 games after that got canceled. I saw that every game in the MLS except for one got canceled. I saw that one woman made an entire tournament cease in a day because she didn't come out for her match. I saw the WNBA didn't play all their games. NFL teams didn't practice when they have no preseason. And it's going to be one of the hardest years in the NFL. They didn't practice, and every practice is important. 3 MLB games were postponed in one day, in 24 hours, because of one man getting shot 7 times. But that one man getting shot 7 times, Jacob Blake, that one man didn't represent himself. He didn't represent anything about the city. He represented a nation. He represented a people that are looked at and looked down upon. And the players using their platform to say, why are you looking down on us? We want to be treated equal. And it isn't a political statement. It has political implications, and it can be used politically, but what players in the NBA and the NFL, the MLB, any sport, even in hockey, Evander Kane, every sport, every athlete, every person is not trying to make this political. They just don't want to be killed. They don't want to be shot. They don't want a knee on their neck. They don't want to carry a bag of Skittles around and it look like a weapon. They don't want to sleep in their own bed and a cop come in and shoot them. They want to be able to live their damn life and not live it in fear. A lot of NBA players and NFL players have been put on the ground by police for walking down the street and looking like someone that committed a crime. And it's just crazy to me that everyone thinks these athletes are out here trying to make political statements, trying to be out here and say that they're trying to do these things. They just want to be equal. In turn, yes, there are political implications. There are things that happen that are political, but at the end of the day, it's just a human being not wanting to die. It's a human being wanting to be treated equally. Women fought for their rights. Women's rights were not a thing. And it took them for rioting. It took them for marches to say we want to be looked at as equal. And when they finally got that, the world slightly has changed. And the same thing has been happening with black people since they had the same movement during the same time women did. And what the athletes are trying to say by taking a knee, by postponing games, is that they've had enough. And the comments that a lot of players made were just that we're using our platform. We don't feel comfortable that someone can die in the street, and we're using our platform to say this is enough. This is time for enough, and doing good things, trying to make a change, trying to do big things. And one of the main comments, because that was my main thing, as soon as I read these or watch these videos, the first thing I want to see are the comments that people say. And a main faction of people just went to the shut up and dribble, stop being political, you're playing basketball, stop thinking that an athlete should do anything in politics. And the way I look at what athletes are doing is that they aren't focused on necessarily changing everyone's mind, because they know they can't. They know that what they're doing isn't going to change everyone's mind. They're trying to change their owner's mind. They're trying to change the people that have the money and they know can make the change. The ones that can open up their facilities so people can vote. The ones that can go out into these programs and change people's lives and educate people and tell people you can learn to not be racist. People can't learn not to be black. People are born black. You weren't born racist, and I can prove that. You can show that. The evidence proves it. And it's just something that it hurts me to see. The first comment is literally, the first comment I saw was, I wish I could boycott my job for a day and still make $1 million. What people need to understand, a lot of people don't understand, that sports are a union. Players are in a union. Players go on strikes. NFL and the NBA and MLB put people on lockdowns and lockouts where you can't play. Being an athlete is a part of a union. And with that comes with special privileges that you have. And with that is that you can use the platform you are given to show that you think there is an issue and then you can change it. And they are under a special sense of circumstances that a lot of people don't get. No, I don't get the luxury of calling my job in and saying, I'm not coming in today. I'm boycotting because I want change in the world. A lot of people don't have that. But when you're an influencer, when you're someone that can change lives, when you're someone that opens a school for deserving kids in the middle of Ohio, you're allowed to say that. Because you are proving you're giving back to the community. These people are working hard for their communities, not just themselves. And people in the NBA, the MLB, the NFL don't just give people like houses and donations and things like that. They give a lot of people a will to live, even if they don't need these things. They give people hope that the NBA and the MLB are just great sports, that the NFL has their back. That when they're sad and they're down and they're depressed, they can always watch sports. And the players know that the only way they can make a change to these billion-dollar owners, these billionaire owners, these teams that are worth $5 billion if you're the New York Yankees or the Dallas Cowboys, is to shut down. Because that owner will see his investment going away. As an owner, you do not want your assets to turn on you, so you will look at them and say, okay, what can I do to help you? And for the people that think that the NBA boycotting games didn't work, well, it did. The owners listened. The players made a difference. The owners made their facilities a part of being a place where people can vote. The NBA and NBAPA agreed upon teaching people about racism and social injustice and creating programs where people can learn and educate themselves. The shit worked. Stop thinking it didn't. Stop looking at players as this evil that are just trying to make millions of dollars and get out. You are the reason. If you are a sports fan, they make that money. If you stop watching, players don't make money. But instead of them standing up for something they believe in, but you're allowed to do, you have an issue with that. NBA players, NFL players, MLB players, NHL players, tennis players, golf players, soccer players, any player in the damn world can have an opinion just like you can. Every person in the world can have a political view that they believe in just like you can. And for some reason you think that they're not allowed to be a part of politics, but you're allowed to be a part of politics, doesn't make sense. I'm sorry. If that makes me sound insensitive, I don't know what else to say, but I don't get it. Stop getting mad at people for using their platform to say what they believe in because it's okay for politicians to do it, but no one else. Because that doesn't make sense. Racism is a problem everywhere you go. And if you don't know that, Jamal Murray drops 50 points to keep his team alive in the NBA playoffs, wearing Breonna Taylor and George Floyd sneakers. And in the interview, he literally says, this isn't just a problem in America. Because I know he's from Ontario. And I know where I lived in Canada, in Edmonton, Alberta. I saw a lot of racism too. So racism is everywhere, no matter where you go. It is a problem everywhere. And for once, these NBA players, these NFL players are sick of it, and they're standing up for it. 4 years on the damn day that Colin Kaepernick did it and was blackballed by the NFL, and it was proven that he was blackballed by the NFL because he got a settlement because of it. So to say that racism does not exist, it is not an issue in sports, and that you don't believe in it is a fucking lie, no matter who is saying it, no matter where you're saying it, no matter what you say about it. Because it is a problem. And I'm just a white kid in Florida. If you disagree with me, tell me why. Do not argue with me. I am not trying to argue with you. I'm just trying to tell you these players are just trying to make a change. They're trying to fight for something they believe in. Everyone fights for something they believe in. And I'm not going to go into everything that happened else in Kenosha and a kid being able to walk by the police after he shot 3 people, and murdered 2. I won't even get into that because that shows a lot in this world right there. Or the fact that there's a caravan that went to Portland that ended in a fatality. I can't even get into that stuff because I don't want you to understand. I don't want you to believe that I'm just trying to say this stuff to make a take, to just say what I think is going with the normal. This is truly an opinion that I've had, and I want to be able to have a conversation with people and hear people and listen to people. But I'm not arguing with you. I'm not fighting with you because that's not something I'm going to do. I want you to understand that these NBA players, these MLB players, these NFL players just want to make a change. They want their lives to be understood and looked at. And not just for them, for the people in their community, for the people out there, the people that need help, they want to help. That's it. And that's not going to happen now, unfortunately. It's going to take time. But putting it front and center, putting it out there, that's going to make the difference. And what they did by walking out, by Milwaukee standing up and walking out of that gym that day, was a massive step. Alone for the fact that they made it so a lot of people are going to be able to vote. The NBA, the NFL are focusing on making sure that every one of their athletes can vote. The world is changing, and the athletes are the forefront, and that's what they need to be. And that's what's going to happen. That's all I'm going to say about that right now. I got really deep, and maybe I didn't get deep enough. Maybe I didn't say the right things. In your opinion, I said how I felt. But I know this is an issue. I don't want to be a part of the problem. I want to be able to stand with my people, whoever is on that side, and say, I hear you and I understand you, because I have learned a lot. And I do try to listen. I don't think I'm better than anyone in my entire life. I just wish I can be the best person I can be. I love sports. I love it when players use their platform for good. And I love it when people can get behind that athlete. And this is the time that we have to do it even more now than ever. And it all started with Jackie Robinson, which was a big part. And I'm going to go into that when I come back, about him and Chadwick Boseman and a lot of other things happening around the world in sports. So thank you for listening to me. Hopefully you are still listening now. That this is something I really do care about, something that's deep into my opinion. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I will be back in just a minute. It'll be like 10 seconds for you. I'm going to get a little bit more pep into my step. I'm going to be a little bit more excited and start talking about what I truly love, and that is sports and everything happening that I'm really excited about. And I want you guys to listen, and I'm really excited. So please, 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 please stay around for half a minute, and I'll see you guys in a second. All right? Nice. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. So, after all of that being said, I do want to talk about what's going on in the sports world because a lot of things have happened in the last 2 weeks. So, I'm going to start with the NFL, some things that have happened, some things that are really important to understand, and get ready for the season that is happening on September 10th. That is only 10 days away. I'm so excited. I have 2 podcasts I have to put out before then, talking about the last of my projections. So those are going to be the next 2 episodes. I might cram into one giant one just so I can get that content out there because I really think it's important. But with all of that, I'm going to say some of the latest news, my opinion on it, and these are some of the things I want to talk about. First thing is that Earl Thomas III is released by the Baltimore Ravens. Wow. So obviously the video got released. I think that he actually released it himself. His team did it, of him getting mad in practice and actually punching his teammate, and that doesn't look so good. That doesn't look so good to the point where he gets released. And it's not just released like, thank you, Earl, for your time in the Baltimore Ravens organization. We appreciate everything you've done. Thank you for the team, and we hope you have the best. No, it was, we have released Earl Thomas. Thank you. As a player with stock, that doesn't look good. Teams don't like that. Teams don't like a reason why someone didn't get released, and that is a huge thing. And I don't know where he's going to fit because I look at it, and half the teams in the NFL do run the same scheme that he did play in Seattle. And a lot of those teams honestly have some good safeties. Now, obviously, I know one of the front runners is Cowboys. Obviously, it was really weird when he ran into the Cowboys locker room, said, "Come get me. Like, I want to play on you guys. Come get me." So I know that they're one of the ones that looked at, but that's a lot. That is a lot to, when you think about it, to go to an extreme like the Dallas Cowboys. They're not going to, in the Lone Star State, they're not going to handle that all so well. So I don't know where he's going to land. That is something that we do have to look out for because he still is a great player. I mean, he's not the caliber he was when he was a part of the Legion of Boom. He is not where he was 4 years ago. Obviously, with his injury and everything, he's lost a step. But his mind is great. And a lot of times he just gets too, I'm the man. And I don't think teams think he's the man anymore. He's not that player that's the best. He's a team player now. He's not the leading player now. And I think that's a role that he obviously isn't able to take really big responsibility with. Another big release was today. Leonard Fournette was released by the Jacksonville Jaguars. So this is a weird one because they've been trying to trade him the past couple months. And to release your starting running back 10 days before the season starts is pretty bold. Now, obviously, Thompson, I believe, came from the Redskins with Jay Gruden, so maybe that's an aspect that they're going to go that route. I know they have Raquel Armstead in the backfield as well, so looking at that, they I guess they're going to go with running back by committee, and that just shows that they're either full in rebuilding mode or they're putting all their baskets in a Gardner Minshew passing game, which would be really fun to watch and probably going to end very badly. It's something that's going to be really, really different to see, really unique to feel, but I really hope for the best for Leonard Fournette. He still is a great player. I mean, he was one of the players that had over 1,000 scrimmage yards last year. He's got a lot left in the tank, and I really hope he's able to find a team that wants to use him and uses him properly. I know a lot of people are looking at the Patriots, one of them, because the Patriots will take anyone and put them in top shape, or they just won't perform there. So I know they're a team to look out for. He's a great player, and he's going to go somewhere great. Another big one is kind of what Bill Belichick came out and said about Cam Newton today, saying that he's one of the hardest working people on the team. That another player said that he'll get there at 4:30, 5:30 a.m., and he'll be the last one to leave. And to hear that about a quarterback that's only making $1 million, that is a former MVP that has done so much in this league that apparently everyone just forgot about because he was a free agent for so long, is going to be concerning for a lot of teams when they go to play in Foxborough and see that this MVP quarterback is whooping your ass, because he's going to. Cam Newton is going to be really good in New England. And it's something that Bill Belichick is the perfect season to say, I just want to do this, because that's what Bill Belichick does. And this is going to be a big time for him to do that. So look out for Cam Newton and the Patriots, because they're not going anywhere. And Cam has a mentality that He hasn't even won the job. He's not even the starting quarterback. He's just a player trying to make the team. And that is scary when you have an MVP with the mentality of, I have to work harder. That is some Damian Lillard like mentality, just so you guys know. Obviously, another Jaguars trade happened. That was Yannick Ngakoue finally getting out of Jacksonville, losing out, I believe, on $15 million franchise tag, and he got traded to the Minnesota Vikings. I think he goes to a $10 million franchise tag. I'm not 100% on the contract numbers, but they get a second-round pick and a conditional fifth-round pick. It can be as good as a third-round pick if the Vikings make it to the Super Bowl, and he isn't all about our first ballot Pro Bowler. So, surprising to me that the Vikings gave up a second round pick because the Jaguars were getting desperate. At one time, they were asking for a first and more. Obviously, that didn't happen. They didn't get what they wanted. But this gives the Jaguars a chance to get a player that did not want to be there out, gone. Amazing. What they need to focus now is making sure the people that are there for once actually want to stay there. Because 3 years ago, they had one of the best teams in league other than their quarterback, and now none of them are there. That's just crazy. Like, you got to make sure you're keeping your team happy, because you can't have a flip like that in 3 years. That's just ridiculous. So that's one thing to look out for. The Vikings make that defense deeper now. That's something they really need on that defensive side with depth. I don't know what they're going to do with Everson Griffin, because he kind of plays the same idea as Yannick. So we're going to have to see how that plays out. But the Minnesota Vikings have had one of the best defenses the past couple years. Their biggest issue has just been their depth of their team. So them fixing that with Yannick Ngakoue, I think is great. I think he'll probably end up signing a long-term contract, because that's kind of been the motive of the Vikings this season, is getting rid of the players that they don't want to sign for a long-term, but also at the same time keeping the players that they want to keep. Adam Thielen, obviously head coach Mike Zimmer, and then, it's just they want to keep the people in that they want to keep in. Dalvin Cook is the next one on the chopping block, and they gotta give him something. So that's another big trade that happened. And other than that, nothing too crazy in the NFL, in my opinion. I think that obviously some players got hurt. That was really important. Obviously, teams are going to be a little sloppy at the beginning of the season. When I really look at it and I really see how everyone's playing, it's weird not to have a preseason, because those are really your window dressing, your curtain like dropping. Kind of let's just get out there, let's play a little bit and see how we're gonna look. And a lot of them probably aren't going to look great the first 2-3 games of the season, truly. And it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. But it could turn out well. It could really be a great thing. And I think we'll have a competitive season. It's just going to be a really weird season. And I think teams such as the Chiefs, such as the Patriots, really have the upper hand compared to a lot of teams that had a lot of turnover, especially teams with new quarterbacks or new offensive coordinators. That's the big one that you really got to stay away from this year, because they didn't get that full offseason to really learn an offense, implement an offense, and play with an offense in preseason. So it's going to be a really weird year. I know Ben Roethlisberger is going to be a little bit unique. I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers are one of those teams that it's going to be unexpected what they do. Really, because with him coming back healthy, they have a great opportunity to go off. I know Lamar Jackson, he's still pissed off. He still has his chip that he'll always have on his shoulder, and he's ready to play. He's ready for the season. He's ready to prove to people that he's more than just an MVP. He is a Super Bowl winner. I'm excited to see the Ravens, even without Earl Thomas. I'm excited to see this team because they have a scary defense. And their offense is fast. They're going to hit you in the mouth, and if you don't like it, then they're going to slap you across the face with how fast and how quick and how big and athletic they are. I can't wait for it. Other than that, that's kind of it. I want to talk about the NFL. I kind of want to get into baseball now, just a little bit. Jackie Robinson Day passed, and this was a really sad Jackie Robinson Day because Chadwick Boseman unfortunately passed away after 4 years with colon cancer. And a lot of people look at him as Black Panther. Yes, he destroyed that role. He made it incredible. He broke down barriers. He did so much for the world in Black Panther that a lot of people don't even realize, and it was incredible. But I also look at him playing Jackie Robinson, and what an amazing job he did in that role. And the anger that he had, the tenacity that he had, the passion that he had, it was incredible. It was just I'm trying to think of just how perfect it was. And I love that movie. 42 is one of my favorite movies. It's a great sports movie. And rest in peace to him, because he's one of those people that really did change a lot in the industry of movies and acting and really in sports. Truly. And I think that it's really sad that he passed away. I'm happy that he was able to go on for so long and do what he wanted to love. And obviously, if you listened to me before or you talked to me before, one of my favorite people in the world, one of my biggest inspirations in the world is Stuart Scott. And when I heard Chadwick died and people started talking about it and said he got to do all the things he wanted to love and he truly cared about people, I kept coming back to the quote that I always come back to. And it is, "You beat cancer by how you live, why you live, and in the manner of which you live." And that's the first thing I thought of. Stuart Scott did it for 7 years of truly showing that he wanted to live and he wanted to beat cancer. He wanted to fight cancer. And Chadwick has done that for the last 4 years. To think about a person being in superhero shape while going to chemo, that is incredible. To think about how much you have to work out, how much martial arts you have to practice, all these things that he was able to do is incredible. So, again, Jackie Robinson Day this year was a lot sadder than it may ever be. And rest in peace to 42, to the King, and rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. Getting away from that part, in baseball news, I mean, the trade deadline did pass today at 4 p.m. There were some trades, nothing crazy. A lot of people thought there were going to be a lot more movements with starting pitchers. I mean, obviously, Clevenger went to the Padres. That was the biggest one. And then Marte from the Diamondbacks did go to Miami. Adam Frazier went back to the Mets as well. So those are really just the big trades that happened. Nothing crazy. I think the biggest, weirdest story in the MLB this year is the Boston Red Sox struggle. To be the first team to 20 losses, be the Boston Red Sox, is the weirdest thing in the world, especially when you look across the table. In the first 30 games that the Dodgers play, they went 21-9, which was their best start in MLB, in their history. So it's just kind of weird to see what MLB is this year, and it's crazy to think about how many teams, this schedule being so condensed and so short, and all these players getting hurt, which I expected, and I think a lot of people did expect. Playing 60 games in 66 days, obviously, other than people getting COVID, that's a lot. To be traveling, to be on a plane at 12 at night and getting there at 3 in the morning and then playing a game at 7 o'clock that day, that's crazy. That's insane. And the fact that teams are still going is just ridiculous. I know a lot of teams are having trouble with their starting pitching and they're focused on their bullpen, but it's insane. And the MLB season is going to be coming to an end very, very quickly, a lot quicker than we think. And the playoffs are going to be very interesting with another wild card spot. But that's not much going on in the MLB. What I want to talk about now is the NBA, because the playoffs have been amazing. The playoffs have been really what I expected, except for a few things. First, I did not expect for the Pacers to get swept by Miami. I mean, I know I had the Pacers winning in 7, but I did not expect them to lose for 1, but to get knocked out of the gym like that. My God. Jimmy Butler is coming out, and Miami is coming out, and this team, they came back and beat Milwaukee tonight, so this team is becoming legit, and I was sleeping on them. I don't know why, I just was, and I feel bad for that, but they have my attention, and I'm not jumping on the bandwagon just yet, but I do have my eyes open on them. Another big thing is, I mean, what are the Sixers going to do? Straight up, they got to figure this out. I mean, it's a lot to say that you make the playoffs and you fire your coach. Both teams, after making the playoffs, that's showing a lot. And the Sixers, I think, are going to have to get rid of one of their stars and rebuild and do something different because it hasn't worked the past couple years, and I don't see it going to work. So it's a really interesting offseason for the Sixers. Other big stuff, I think that just everything that's happened, Luka, I have little Luka over here. That's a Luka pop. I went to Disney. I was at the NBA experience. I'm like, I saw it. I'm like, this kid is the next big thing in the NBA. I'm gonna get him. I'm also gonna get Trae Young. So I have little Luka. I'm gonna get tiny Trae. I'm probably gonna get Pocket Patrick or Mini Mahomes. And then someone else. I'm trying to think of who I want to do. Maybe Baby Bellinger for the MLB. I don't know yet, but Luka, holy shit. He's crazy. Oh my God. This kid is ready to play. He's 21 years old. 21. And he is one of the best players in the world. It is crazy how naturally athletic. And he was playing on a hurt ankle. If the Mavericks didn't have Luka with a hurt ankle and Porzingis out, this series ending in 6 games, unfortunately, which I did predict, but it would have been completely different. And I think the Mavericks have such a great future to them. They are going to go on a couple runs, and they're going to be incredible. And it's a team that you need to start cheering for now. Someone else that's been going off, Jamal Murray. My God. To keep your team in the game and forcing a Game 7 like he did, that's crazy. He is balling out, and he has no fear. And you see it on the court. He is so full of confidence and so full of emotion, so full of anger that he's going to go out. He doesn't care what anyone says, and he's going to score. And I think that the way he took over last game in the closing minutes just shows who he is. The kid being from Ontario, he played not at the level that a lot of people in the NBA did, and he doesn't care. He's coming out here, and he's playing like a god. So I'm really hoping the Nuggets can pull through. It would be amazing to see them go on and see what Jamal has in the rest of his tank. Obviously, the Lakers moving through. No one's surprised there. I still think that AD is going to win the MVP. They're going to win, and he's going to win the MVP. Just wait for it. It's going to happen. And that's really just kind of it. It's been a really good playoffs to watch. And I love what the players have done. I've loved everything they've put in for work, and really still trying to understand that a lot of things are still going on in America, and they want to make a difference there. I really am proud of all the players, a lot of the owners, really how the NBA has handled it, David Stern, everything. It's been incredible. Other than that, that's kind of it. That's my recap the last 2 weeks that I missed. I know it was longer than usual. It was a lot, and it's probably going to be one of the deeper podcasts I ever have. But other than that, I just wanted to put this out there. I wanted to get back in the lab. I wanted to get back to doing this. I'm really excited for everything happening. I'm excited to talk more basketball. I'm also going to be doing a fantasy football. I got to do it soon. I know the season's about to start, kind of waiting until the last minute because I want to be able to draft my team with knowing who's hurt. So that's going to be a big thing. So I want to get that so I can kind of follow up that on the year. And other than that, I have a couple things I'm going on and ready to go for. So please stay around. Please, guys, rate, review, subscribe. It does actually mean so much. If you're watching on YouTube, let me know how it looks. Let me know how it sounds. Give me your opinion. Give me feedback. I really want to know. And other than that, I hope you guys have a great night. Hope you have a great day. And let's keep the hard work going and keep me on my game. Bye, guys.